Hello everyone and welcome to another video. A few weeks ago I researched where all the icons for the roller coasters in Roller Coaster Tycoon 2 come from, and you all liked that a lot, so today I'm going to do it for the rest of the rides. Just like last time, I'm only going to do the vanilla one, so unfortunately you'll see just 2 of the 11 twist variants. Since there are a lot of stalls, those will be their own video at some point. Today we're just going to do the transport, gentle, thrill and water rides, starting with the transport rides in alphabetical order. First up is the chairlift, which has 2 variants, the chairlift cars and the ski lift cars. And immediately we're going back to the most popular park for coaster icons, Mega World Park. Everything, except for the way that the tall grass is generated, is identical. The ski lift cars are from Thunder Rock, which is a park that, despite only having a single ride, will show up again later. Next is the lift, which has a lot of trees behind it. It's kind of similar to the one in Six Flags Magic Mountain if you remove all the support scenery, but it doesn't really match up anywhere. So I've recreated it myself, which was a tad painful as the trees in the icon really just morph into each other and it's quite tricky to distinguish them and pick the right ones. The miniature railway has 4 different trains, 3 of which are extremely similar looking steam type trains. The American style one can be found all the way in the back of Roller Coaster Tycoon 1's Blackpool Pleasure Beach. And because one icon wasn't enough, the very same ride also produced the icon for the open steam train cars. There are also covered steam trains, which can be found in Mega World Park. All you need to do is remove 1 tree to get some extra vision and the icon is recreated perfectly. The last railroad vehicle is the trams, which come from a more urban setting. It looks somewhat similar to the decorative railway in Blackpool, but ultimately it was a custom design that can't be found anywhere in any park as far as I could find. Our next ride type is the monorail, which comes in 3 flavors, small, retro and streamlined. The small one comes, rather unsurprisingly at this point, from Mega World Park, and the big streamlined one, which are my favorite monorail trains, also come from here. The retro trains are a bit more unique, although not by much as they come from Alton Towers, another slightly less popular park. The last transport ride is the suspended monorail, which looks suspiciously much like the one in Future World. However, it only gets close enough to the ground in one tiny spot, and there the terrain, supports and path don't match up. Really, it's only the uncommon red rock terrain type that makes it look like this. Had it been grassy, we would have never made the connection. Anyway, this is a custom design, and since it has no trees, this one was for once very easy to recreate. Those were the transport rides, so let's move on to the biggest group of this video, the gentle rides. We start with the car ride, which sets a new record with a total of 5 different available vehicle types. The first in alphabetical order is the Cheshire Cats, which is the only one that requires a custom design. It kind of looks like the one in Crumbly Woods, but really it doesn't match up at all. The interesting thing about this icon is that the guests still have their umbrellas out, meaning it had just stopped raining a few seconds before the screenshot was taken. Actually, scratch that, as while editing the bit in between the gentle and thrill ride sections later on in this video, I stumbled upon this Cheshire Cats ride in Blackpool Pleasure Beach that I had somehow completely missed earlier. This means that I have to redo the timing of the rain stopping, but fortunately the track in between the 2 cars is identical to my recreation, so timing those is easy this time around. I did manage to spot the other 4 car ride icons before mistakenly recreating them, and they also come from some very thumbnail heavy parks. The pickup trucks can be found in Mega World Park, although you do have to replace one of the trees. The racing cars one is from the same park, but if you look closely, a support from the Dinky slide is missing. In Roller Coaster Tycoon 1, these kinds of tracks generated a lot more support, so it's likely that this image was taken either in RCT1 itself or in an old RCT2 beta version where there were more support still. For the other 2, we go back to Blackpool Pleasure Beach, and where for the hypercoaster icon we removed the car ride, now it also works the other way around to get the sports car icon. The mini golf and a fountain also have to be removed. The vintage cars icon is from under the bobsleigh coaster, which obviously you have to remove so that it's not in the way. Next is the first flat ride of this video, the circus. There are quite a few flat rides that can actually be found in existing parks, but the circus is not one of them. The monkey puzzle tree that's in the icon is extremely rare in scenarios, and I've only seen it in Mega World Park, but there is no circus there. The crooked house is also one that I wasn't able to find anywhere, so here it is recreated. The dodgems, on the other hand, is taken from Mega World Park, with all the tall grass and everything included. The next ride, which is the Ferris wheel, wasn't so lucky and had to have its icon recreated. Most of these images use only standard trees, but here is a full-on jungle scene behind it. Earlier I said that even though the chairlift is the only ride in Thunder Rock, we would be returning there, and we do so for the Flying Saucers ride. It is not here or even available in this scenario, but I do think that it was built right here in this park. The terrain matches up perfectly, and why would they build a whole new map if they have a perfectly functional one lying around? Up next is the Ghost Train, which comes with two pre-built designs in RCT2, Ghost Train and Haunted Mansion. The icon for the Ghost Train cars of the Ghost Train ride comes from the Ghost Train pre-built, and the icon for the Haunted Mansion cars comes from the Haunted Mansion pre-built. Someone was running out of inspiration for the naming scheme here. Alright, we've now arrived at the haunted house icon, and there's pretty much nothing to go off here. All we see is the ride itself and some grass in the background, yet I still managed to find where it was taken. There is a haunted house in Alton Towers, and if you look closely you can see that the hill exactly matches that in the image. The overgrown grass is slightly different, but you do see that more often, making me think that the way it generates was changed after those images were taken. It could have been taken somewhere else, but since Alton Towers has been used for so many other icons, I'm willing to bet that it was taken here. The maze is a lot simpler, as it's just the one in Blackpool Pleasure Beach, including the hypercoaster support and the railroad in the back. Just like in the video for coaster icons, I'm not going to try to get the guests exactly right for these kinds of rides, as that's nearly impossible. I might do it for some when it's easy, but good luck doing it for this one. For the merry-go-round we go back to Alton Towers, and it's an exact match right there, no questions asked. And we keep going back and forth, as the mini-golf is from the one in Blackpool Pleasure Beach that we removed for the sports car icon. Now it's time to remove the car ride again, but the hypercoaster can't stay, as the sport is just out of frame. They probably still did remove it for the original image, but it's not strictly necessary. The mini helicopters icon looks so much like it's from some park, and I looked all over for this arrangement of fences or flower beds, but unfortunately I couldn't find it. Obviously it still was from some very nice park, but not the one we have access to anymore, so I had to recreate it. This design is the Cycle Monorail 1 pre-built from Rollercoaster Tycoon 1. I'm not 100% sure that it was used, as the track is quite generic, but the shape and the colors are the same, so it is possible. The next two rides are entirely custom designs, as far as I could find. The Monorail Cycles has these nice flower beds and trees, and the Monster Trucks has a mine theme and 3 cars that are surprisingly difficult to time right. The observation tower looks very much like it's taken from Urban Jungle, but none of the angles match up with the scenery. I even checked the entire scenario for the arrangement of flowers that you see in the image, but I couldn't find it. My guess is that it was still taken here, but with some altered scenery to make the thumbnail look better. The double-deck cabin observation tower isn't built anywhere, but the exact terrain and scenery layout behind it can be found in Alton Towers. It was almost certainly built here specifically for the ride icon. Fun fact about these trees, you can't actually place them that close to the water in Rollercoaster Tycoon 2, but you could do that in RCT1, and that's where this park was made. We have 2 more gentle rides to go, the first of which is the Space Rings. This one is special because it's the only flat ride icon that has another flat ride in it, the merry-go-round in the top left. Unfortunately, I couldn't find this anywhere, so I had to build it myself. What is cool about it is that I look really carefully closely at everything now and noticed that this bench is actually vandalized. It's really interesting what you can find when you pay close attention. The last gentle ride is the spiral slide, which is a bit simpler and it's taken straight from Mega World Park. A few years ago, when I first looked at some of the coaster icons, I never expected that you would be able to find so many flat ride icons as well. It makes total sense that you can, but unless you look at the icons really carefully, it looks like you have pretty much nothing to go off. This project has taught me a lot about the tiny little details that can give it away, and also has made me really good at recognizing the different rotations of trees. If you look carefully, those trees will be a lot more accurate in this video than in the coaster icons one. Right, we've had the transport and the gentle ride, so let's move on to the thrill rides. We start with the 3D cinema, another icon that looks like you have basically zero clues for, but it's simply the one in Blackpool Pleasure Beach with some different colors. That castle entrance really helped give this one away. We haven't been to Alton Towers for a while, so let's go back to it for the Enterprise. Simply remove the vertical drop coaster Oblivion and you have yourself a perfect match. We have now also gone 2 entire rides without visiting Mega World Park, so for the go-kart we go back to our favorite icon generator. It's truly astonishing how many of these icons are from this park, way more than I would have guessed before researching all of them. In the icon for the launched freefall we see that rare monkey puzzle tree again, but this time it is from the only place that you can find them, the same park we're already in. The long flume in the top right is the same one as the one in the icon for the spiral slide. Up next is the magic carpet, which I unfortunately could not find anywhere, so I had to recreate the icon myself. The flat rides are generally a lot easier to do than the coasters, as the only pain point is the scenery. I do spend a lot more time now getting the trees in the perfect rotation though. For the motion simulator we return to Thunder Rock. There is no motion simulator here, but if you build it exactly in this position, everything matches up, even the path that you can vaguely see in the top right corner of the icon. The pirate ship is another one of those that isn't originally in the scenario, but this time it comes from Southern Sands. It's not even a maybe, as you can actually see a tiny bit of the wooden coaster at the top. Next is the Rotodrop, which would have been real nice to find in the scenario, but unfortunately I had to recreate it. Well, I say unfortunately, but it actually was quite a fun puzzle getting these 15 trees exactly right. The swinging inverter ship is from the exact same area as the Enterprise, and you once again have to remove Oblivion to get the icon. After doing some recoloring, the only thing that's off is the tall grass, just like with the haunted house. And as I expected, it did indeed generate differently in Roller Coaster Tycoon 1. If we take a look there, it does match the way it looks in the icon, and the same goes for the haunted house. So it looks like either these icons are taken straight from RCT1, or the sprites for the overgrown grass were changed fairly late in the development of RCT2. And we stay in Alton Towers for a while, as the top spin is from this park as well. Change the color of the seats, remove a tree, and then you have the icon. For the twist we go back to Blackpool Pleasure Beach with an extra tree added and the dodgems removed. I'm really noticing how often the jungle style entrance is used in this park, and it works remarkably well. Even though we won't see all 11 variants of the twist that you get if you have the expansions, there is still a second twist variant in the base game, the Snow Cups. This looks very similar to the flat bits of Alpine Adventures, but the scenery doesn't quite match. I think it was still taken here though, just with some trees moved around to make the picture look a bit better. Those were all of the thrill rides, and by extension we've also had all of the flat rides now. The only rides we have left are the water rides. We start with the most frustrating ride type of all, the boat hire. Seriously, you expect me to get up to 5 different independent free moving vehicles in the correct spots? That's not going to happen. I'll do the best I reasonably can and match the terrain as closely as possible, but getting the vehicles exactly right without using external tools is next to impossible. Anyway, we have 6 different boat hire vehicle types to go through, so let's get a move on. The bumper boats is one of the simpler ones, as it's taken straight from Blackpool Pleasure Beach, once again with the hypercoaster removed. The canoes one is nowhere to be found, but the terrain looks quite a bit like the entrance to the lake in Evergreen Gardens. However, the underwater hills don't match and the tree is rotated the wrong way, so I recreated it right here. Speaking of underwater terrain, it's a complete bitch to recreate. I know it's not exactly right, but it's very hard to see what it does and how it exactly goes, and I can't be bothered spending another half hour faffing about trying to get it perfect. It's good enough. The jet skis one is a bit easier as it's taken in Mega World Park. You do need to place the lilies yourself. Yes, 2 lilies, not just one. There are 5 pixels of that second one in the image. But you can see the car ride support in the top right, so we can be sure it was indeed taken here. For the rowing boats we need to go to Alton Towers and remove a little bit of track from the boat hire with the swan boats, after obviously replacing those swans with rowing boats. There are also some ducks in the thumbnail, including one that's grabbing some lunch from underwater, but if you think I'm going to even attempt to recreate that, you're sorely mistaken. The swans icon looks very similar to the jet skis one with the lilies, but I couldn't quite find a terrain match on this lake. I do think it was taken here, especially considering there already is a swans ride here, and with a little adjustment right here the terrain looks like it is identical to the image, so this is my best guess. The last boat hire vehicle, the water tricycles, is easier to spot as it's taken directly from another bit of Mega World Park. After this wild boat ride we have arrived at the dinghy slide, which, boringly enough, is also taken from Mega World Park, and once again there are fewer supports, indicating that this image was taken straight from RCT1. After seeing the log flume in this park appear in both the spiral slide and the launch freefall icons, it also appears in its own icon, albeit with a different section. Next is the river rafts, which has a dinosaur jungle theme that is a custom design that I for the life of me couldn't get right. I got all the scenery in the exact correct positions, but the terrain is ever so slightly wrong. However, if I go and alter the terrain, the scenery will be at slightly wrong height, so I can't figure out what to do here. There obviously exists some layout of terrain and scenery that looks exactly like this, but I can't find it. The river rapids is next, and this one is incredibly fascinating. Not really because of the ride itself, which is in Alton Towers, but because of the path next to it. In Rollercoaster Tycoon 1, path on hills had no stairs and no railings, but in RCT2 they got both. However, the path in this image does have a railing, but does not have stairs. I can't fully 100% accurately recreate this without using custom assets, as this path doesn't exist in any released version. The splash boats is another custom jungle design. It's very possible that this one, the river raft, the Ferris wheel and maybe even the observation tower are from the same jungle themed area in a park that was never released to the public. For the final water ride we need to go to Gravity Gardens. Despite the fact that in this scenario you can't research any water rides at all, the submarine icon is clearly taken right here. Fun fact about this ride, even though the vehicle description says 4 people fit in each sub, their capacity is actually 5. Apparently these guests never learned proper social distancing rules. And those were all 114 ride icons in Rollercoaster Tycoon 2. 11 transport rides, 23 gentle rides, 56 roller coasters, 12 thrill rides and 12 water rides. Of these, 27 are custom designs, 24 are pre-built designs with sometimes some extra decoration added, 22 are from Mega World Park, 14 are from Blackpool Pleasure Beach, 12 are from Alton Towers and the other 15 are from various other parks. To see exactly where those coaster icons come from, click right here to see my exploration of that. Thank you all for watching and I will see you in the next video.